Kerjasama pendidikan antara Indonesia dengan Amerika Serikat sudah terjalin selama 70 tahun. Untuk semakin mempererat kerjasama ini, Amerika Serikat semakin mempermudah pengurusan izin pelajar Indonesia yang ingin menuntut ilmu di Negeri Paman Sam ini.
Pengembangan sumber daya manusia menjadi topik yang banyak diangkat di presidensi G20 Indonesia. Oleh karenanya, sinergi antara dunia pendidikan dengan dunia kerja menjadi hal yang sangat penting. Dan di Road to G20 kali ini, saya akan membahas kerjasama Indonesia dengan Amerika Serikat dalam mengembangkan kompetensi sumber daya manusia secara global. Sudah hadir bersama saya pada kali ini, Counselor of Public Diplomacy US Embassy, Rachel Cook.
Madam Cook, thank you very much for your time with CNN Indonesia today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have you had great time in Bali?
Of course, of course. It's always a good time here in Bali.
It's always good time in Bali,
Balinese
right?
people are wonderful,
Yeah.
but also the G20 kind of atmosphere is really energizing. It's great.
So energizing. So I was talking about energizing and give impact to the others, right? So how do you see the Indonesian education system? Because education is one of the main topic here in the G20, right? So how do you see Indonesian education system right now?
So I think the Indonesian economics or education system is really coming back up after the pandemic. Now, of course, there are still concerns regarding the pandemic, but I really have to give appreciation to Minister Nadiem Makarim and his whole team. He is putting in new initiatives, new ideas to try to help Indonesian students kind of tackle the challenges that have come from the pandemic and also to be prepared for kind of the world of the future, right? Employment is changing, opportunities are changing, there are new opportunities. And I think that he and his team are really thinking about that future for Indonesian students and helping them prepare really quite well. They're working through it well, and we are very happy to be working with them. For example, this year is the 70th year of our Fulbright program here with Indonesia. So this is the United States' premier educational exchange program, and we have been working to help Indonesians go and study and do research in the United States and bring Americans to Indonesia for the same purposes for 70 years now. So our partnership with Indonesia's education system is very long, very deep, and we're happy to keep growing that partnership.
Talking about planning for the challenges, how can we Indonesia prepare our students for the future economy and expand access, in education?
So preparing the students for the future, I think it's already begun, right? So even sort of a silver lining, I would say, of the pandemic is that students had to learn how to engage with the world digitally, right? And they did, right? The educators did, the education system here did, and all over the world, really, right? Students had to figure out how to continue their learning via a digital format. Well, now they know how to do that, and that can translate into their future employment, into the challenges of the future. Maybe there will be, unfortunately, other pandemics, other challenges, and the students here know how to handle that successfully. So I think that their preparation for these facing the future challenges is already underway.
Okay, that's good to hear, right? So you said before about our relations, 70 years relations, especially in education. So what the other real actions could you share with Indonesia and the US to build a qualified education system now and also for the future?
So in addition to the Fulbright program that I mentioned earlier, we actually have more than a dozen exchange programs to help Indonesians get a more global perspective and also to help Americans learn from Indonesia and via Indonesian best practices. So that is something that is very common here and have been happening for a long time. A nice example of that is our Waisili program.
Yeah, okay.
It's the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative. That program works with Indonesian students and young people, young professionals, and also students and young professionals from around Southeast Asia. So it's a regional program helping them to connect with each other, learn best practices in education, for example, from each other, but also head off to the US and engage with partners in the US and learn there.
Right.
Just a few months ago, in May, we held the special US-ASEAN Summit in Washington, D.C. During that time, President Biden announced that we are doubling our number of Fulbright Fellows from ASEAN, and then also doubling the number of our Waisili Fellows from ASEAN. Double. So we're really excited about that, and so that's part of the growth that I mentioned before, that we are working with the Indonesians to grow our education partnership. So at this time, we have approximately just under 8,000 Indonesian students studying in the United States at US universities and colleges. But it's hard to figure out how to do that, right?
Yes.
So to help Indonesian students and their parents figure out how can they go and study in the United States, we developed a system across the archipelago here in Indonesia called Education USA.
All right.
We have Education USA centers in Aceh, Malang, Makassar, Jakarta, Surabaya, with counselors who can do in-person meetings with students, with their parents, to help them learn about the universities in the US and figure out how to select the ones that are the best fit for them, for what they want to study, for where they want to be. Do they want to be somewhere where it snows? Maybe, you never know. And then also, how do you take the entrance exams? How do you apply, do the applications? How do you apply for scholarships and financial aid? Our Education USA counselors can do this in person in those cities, but they also can do it virtually. So they can connect with students and families all over Indonesia, even if they aren't in one of those cities. Their services are free, and they basically help Indonesian students through the complexities of going to study in the United States. And we certainly want more Indonesian students to study in the US. Even during the pandemic, we were welcoming more and more Indonesian students.
That's a great opportunity for us. Yeah. So we're talking about a pandemic right now. You know, like pandemics is one of the challenges that we are still facing right now. And you know, like not just the pandemic, but also the economic crisis, also like the high tensions in some regions. And those challenges have impacted the learning system, including like the potential to get like educational loss. So how do you try to prevent those issues in like in the education system mostly?
Yeah, so that's, I think, a big issue here for the G20 conversations, because every country in the world has had to deal with these educational problems that have been brought on by the pandemic. How do you deal, as you say, with educational loss? We've had a loss of, for example, what we would call student mobility. That's students from around the world studying in other countries. This kind of opportunity is really critical to develop the next generation of leaders. So we come together at a forum like the G20 and learn from each other. What are different countries doing that are really working well to help bring back their educational system, support their students, but also support their educators, their administrators, their faculty, from the primary
system, right?
level, up through the university level. So that's the beauty of something like the G20, is that we can come together with 19 other countries and talk through, hey, what's working well, what isn't working, what might we be able to partner on, that sort of thing. So I think Indonesia is in a wonderful spot because they are leading the G20, so they get to build up on all of those best practices for Indonesian students and the Indonesian educational system.
Wow. So we have like a long way to go So with the like something that we are trying to make in this G20 event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, we're figuring out how to recover together and
recover
also
stronger.
recover stronger.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again.